just to get started, this is our emergency town hall session, our first town hall for the year. We are the associate students, your student body. My name is Chris Fennessy. I am the Vice President for Academic Affairs of the associate students. If I can get my compatriots to also introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Ashley Johnson. I'm the Associate Students President.
Sure, I'll just grab this one. I'm Simon Fraser. I'm the Chief Justice. It's a fancy title, but not as fancy a job.
Hi, Alexander Soto, Student Trustee.
Hi. Hello. Hi. My name is Andrea. I'm the Vice President for Internal Affairs of the Association.
Hi, I'm Manjit Chow. I'm the Vice President for Public Relations.
And last but not least, I'm Daniela Rueda. I'm the Vice President for Business Affairs.
And then we have a few other members who are not with us now. They'll either be coming in late or, oh, you still want to do? Sorry.
Hi, I'm John Fraser. I'm the Vice President for External Affairs.
And then a couple of our other members are either going to be coming in later, or a few of us may have to leave early for classes as well. It's impossible to find time when we are all free, unfortunately. But I do want to get started and make a couple quick comments before we get started. The way I imagined this town hall to go was, first and foremost, it's supposed to be an opportunity for students to come and speak out and tell us your stories and give us your ideas. We want to hear your voices so that we can represent you as best as possible moving forward during the current situation. You notice that we do have a number of administrators and trustees here. Thank you all very much for coming. And we asked them here because we wanted them to be here to hear these student stories, to give them an opportunity to really have a student forum that they are able to watch, and you're able to see what students are saying and why we're saying it. It's specifically meant to be an open forum for students to speak, and I'm happy that our guests are listening to that, so thank you. Finally, before we get started, I want to be as specific as possible about what we are allowed to do here as associate students. Tonight is an open forum where any student can come and tell us anything that's on their minds. And while AS cannot take any action or make any promises tonight, we can give feedback and answer any questions and listen, of course, to everything that you have to say. The discussion tonight will give us an idea of what action we want to take place further along at our regularly scheduled meetings. So without all that out of the way, I'm going to start tonight with a quick run through of the situation and how AS has been involved and where we are right now. AS first received reports about the class cuts and letting go of faculty members a week before the spring semester began. We learned about it through concerns students who forwarded us President Bush's email, and we were unsettled, both because of the way that we were informed and because of the timing of the cuts. Because of this late implementation, the affected students had little to no ability to refill those classes, and this, of course, very heavily adversely affected those students. So we immediately began working to do what we can to handle that situation. We held an emergency meeting before spring semester started, where we formed ourselves into 3 teams. One specifically to work on ASBCC's positions on the situation, one to create services for the affected students, and one to go out and reach out to students and get them informed and involved. The first group drafted what eventually became ASBCC's resolution on budget cuts, which we have here and on the table in the back, and which we've also distributed to the shared governance groups on campus and presented at the Board of Trustees meeting last week. The resolution required the cuts, and through the process through which they were made, and called on the college to fully use the shared governance process on campus and to help the affected students. The second group has created a new scholarship specifically for affected students, which will be available until March 22nd for applications, and it's there to help the students who may have lost their financial aid or their ability to get insurance and the like. They also organized counselors and financial aid advisors out in the quad all last week for free without a 3-hour wait like you often get in the elevator. So that's what they've been doing. We're looking into other ways of helping the students. The third group helped organize this event, and we've done our best to inform as many students as we can. We've gone classroom visits, visited clubs, student groups, spoken to professors in other areas of the campus, and really just tried to speak with every student we can to tell them what's going on, how they can get involved, and to please join us at this event and at all the other events that we're having. At this point, AS is working within the committees, such as the Enrollment Management Committee, which I sit on, and the Budget Resource Allocation Committee, which will Alex, and Danny stand, to work through the shared governance process to ensure that students' voices are heard and respected. We are also planning for the March and March on Monday, where we'll be sending 90 students up Sacramento to advocate on the state level on behalf of education in the CCs. Finally, we're still trying to reach out to all the affected students to understand the implications of these actions and to advocate for the rectification of these students, the rectification of the effects. I know that the administration has begun planning their Spring Forward initiative, which will be a shortened intercession within the spring semester that will be specifically focused to help these students. This is a good step forward, and we're doing our best to remain involved in the planning process for that, so that it can serve the students as effectively as possible. With that, I'm going to start opening the floor to you. You're the ones who really want to hear from tonight. We want to hear your stories, what's happened to you, how this has affected you. We want to hear your ideas. We do have a videographer here tonight who we've asked to film so that we can compile all these student stories and really come with a firm presentation of what's been going on and how it's affecting students. We ask that if you come up to speak, if you would be so kind to fill out one of our media release forms. We have a number here on the table over here, as well as a number in the back. Fill it out, just put it here on the table, and that way we can use your testimony within our video. And if you feel uncomfortable doing so, that's entirely okay as well. Unless there's any further comments by the board, please.
One thing I'd like to add is that during the last Board of Trustees meeting, the President of the College announced the creation of a fund. And I wanted to just say where we're going with this. So the idea of this fund is that it would fund high demand sections. We're not quite clear on how that will work yet. So immediately what we've decided is we know that some members of the administration have already made donations to the fund from their personal salaries. Some money that is saved from various release time obligations will be placed into that fund as well. The Associated Students has already made a $1,000 donation to this fund, and we've earmarked more money for it, but that is pending us discussing with the administration how the money will be used and making sure that it gets used in the right way. And that was one of the things we talked about last week. And so hopefully those conversations will go well, and we'll actually be contributing more money to the fund to fund more sections. And obviously we don't have much money at all, but we're trying to do what we can because we recognize that the whole college is going through a bit of a sacrificial period at the moment, and AS wanted to help to contribute. That was the only other thing that I wanted to mention.
I just want to clarify, when Chris mentioned that we're offering scholarships, they're available online, and even though they're primarily geared towards students that have been directly affected with the cuts and the class cancellation, it is open for everyone. So I do encourage all of you that don't necessarily have been directly affected by this to go ahead and apply for those as well. And the deadline is March 20th, not 22nd.
Thanks.
Additionally, I apologize for coming a bit late, but I'm Erica Barraza, your Vice President for Student Services.
Hi, I'm Victor, and I'm your Vice President for Cultural Items.
Great. So moving forward, any of you who would like to speak, please come to the mic. And I know that you had class. Would you like to speak first?
Okay. Hi, my name is Sarah and if you're a board of trustees meeting, hi. I have a couple of things. I mean, first I want to thank you guys for the work that you're putting in to try to help the students that are affected. You call this emergency town hall, which is more than you were able to get from the administration. So the fact that you recommend this problem is great, and these steps are important. But really, there were 3,000 students that were affected by these cuts, and these measures that you outlined are only going to be able to help a small percentage. I hear a lot, we have to help students who are about to graduate. We have to help students who are about to transfer. We also have to help the students who are trying to be about ready to transfer. Like, if we're only helping the students that are about ready to transfer, and you just leave everything else here, not giving the units that they need, that's not really going to solve the problem. So I would encourage you to continue to be aggressive. These measures are good, and we should definitely do anything we can to help the students. But the only thing that's really going to help the students is to get the classes back. That's the only thing that's going to help the 3,000 students. Everyone here has a plan to transfer. everyone here has a plan to go on and make something of themselves and have a good life. And every one of those class cuts represents a delay in that plan to some extent. I mean, I'm also a tutor at the Math Resources Center, and I talked to a number of my students who were taking remedial math classes that were cut. There's no way that they can, they're not ready to transfer. They're at the beginning of their career at BCC. But they need to get all the way up to college level algebra. And there's no way they can do that without these classes. 80% of students who come into BCC need some sort of remedial class. And if we cut those classes, no one's going to get to the point where they can transfer. They're absolutely necessary. So I would encourage you guys to really be aggressive and continue to push and represent for the absolute most that we can get. Because every single cut affects somebody's ability to transfer. So I would say, you know, there's 3,000 students that were affected. Even one student affected is too many at this point. So hopefully we can agree on that and we can stay together.
Any other students? Yeah, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Krishna Rajagopal, and I want to briefly share the experience that I've been having. I'm currently on the wait list for a television and radio class, and I went to the second class meeting today only to find out that I would be told in the third class meeting whether I would be on or not. And so I think this causes a little bit of anxiety to some extent. And I think there needs to be a more uniform policy, because I've done another class where the teacher, you know, if someone's on the wait list, they add them the first day itself. That way, if they don't get that class, you know, they can go try and shop around for other classes. But I'm finding with this particular class, you know, I'm not really getting to know whether I'll have to go to the third class meeting. And if I were to get another class instead of that, you know, do I add that class or do I wait for the television and radio class? It's kind of a pick and choose kind of thing. So if there could just be a more uniform policy, like if someone doesn't show up on the first day, you automatically go to the people in the third class. Because as it stands right now, you know, my instructor is saying he's going to call people who are currently registered but didn't show up for their class and see if they're in time. And I think that they're not there, then they're not there. It's not really fair to call people up, you know, when there are a lot of people who are on wait list for classes. And this may speak for other people as well as myself. This may be a problem that other people may be having, so I just want to share my personal experience. And so that's my experience. I know ultimately our goal is to get as many students to transfer and graduate as possible, and some students may have fewer classes to take, and so I think that maybe they should get some priority to some extent for the classes. And I know someone may have one class left and then they could transfer just because one history class or one PBR class or whatever it may be. So just helping those students especially, as well as trying to develop a more uniform policy for adding students that are on the wait list. Okay. And I want to also say that I appreciate all of the work that our student government is doing. I really do appreciate every step they're trying to take to ensure student success. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've noticed the exact same problem that you were talking about, is it's a lot of time in a lot of my classes, students who are on the wait list are being told, will come back on the next class day, come back on the next class day, and there is no uncertainty. So there are a lot of people that I'm seeing in these classes are coming back because they want this class, but then they don't know if they're going to get it. And a lot of people like today were disappointed that they were told finally, you know what, sorry, you're not going to get this class, and it's already the second week of the semester, and where are they?
From what I understand, there were some changes this semester, last minute changes in the adding policy. I've heard actually the opposite as well from faculty who said that if a student is not present first day, they must drop them immediately. I also know that there have been fewer add codes and so fewer opportunities to add per class given to faculty. So those are definitely problems, and I'm involved in certain discussions with them. You know, I'll keep those in mind. So thank you. Would anyone else have any common stories, especially affected students? We'd love to hear students who may have had their classes cut and how it's affected you. We really need that kind of information so that we can not only help you, but also have a firmer understanding of exactly how this has affected students in BCC. Yes, please.
Hi. Is this open? Hi, I'm an international student, so first I must apologize about my poor English. So my story is that as an international student with the F1 visa, we are required for like 12 units for every semester to keep the visa, to keep our status. But now the question is, we're trying to transfer, so we have to follow certain units, certain requirement class. But right now, our situation is we can't get our requirement class, but for the 12 units, we have to choose some class that we don't need. Even it's not on the G paper or something. So that means we spend money on something we don't need. Not only money, also time. For some of us, we're trying to transfer in 2 or 2.5 years, which under the pressure of our finance problem, something, that makes us a little bit harder to get transferred from here. And as we know, PCC is a school with a good reputation, so that's what we choose here. But the situation right now makes us to double think about, is that good to stay here until we transfer? So that means we spend more money, no offense about that, because we are an international student. So we need to consider about our finance problem, the time, it's all our issues. So we're thinking about this budget cut and the class cut, and also the new policy of adding class that cut down the numbers of the adding, or probably as I heard, some professors were not able to add students manually. That's supposed to be okay for like last whole semester. So I mean, this is a problem we made right now as an international student. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you.
And actually, yeah, international students is a specific problem that we've been trying to address is especially students who may have lost their 12 minutes due to cuts. That's very, very upsetting. And I think that one of the things that I've been addressing personally in committees and things is the fact that students often have to take classes or forced to take classes that they don't need, that are considered elective classes, because the classes they do need aren't necessarily offered. I do think that the campus is trying to offer more classes that are necessary, but it's certainly a process that's happening now. Unfortunately, we're still, in some cases, at the beginning of that process.
If I may say something, I actually expressed a similar problem to what he just stated, which was having to enroll in basically frivolous sections, just random sections to try to increase enrollment priority. I expressed that to several different legislators when I went on the Board of Trustees lobbying trip. So I just like to say that's important that we have that kind of story for our videographer, so we can bring this kind of story and information to Sacramento too. So thank you very much.
Would anyone else like to share their stories? Yes, please. Oh, sorry. You'll be next, don't worry. Oh, yeah, if anyone wanted to speak on this formal line, or by Carrie, who's having an expert board over here inside. Thanks.
All right, hello, my name is Fernando. Well, I wasn't affected by the class cuts, luckily, but I have been noticing, I want to emphasize what you said about how it was limiting the ad code numbers. It was limited to about 30, and then you add about 5 more, totaling about 35, which doesn't really make much sense to me, because some classes were bigger than others, and I know that they also stressed, they also kind of cut back on those big class, what are they called?
Large group instruction.
Large group instruction classes, they've cut that because I'm not sure who said it, but I think it was the president who said that it was, he was aiming that it wasn't as learning efficient as it was, which I think is ridiculous because that's a way that a lot of students finish that class was through the large group. And I noticed that when working in the records office, I've seen a lot of cases where it was because of that newly instated cap that limited to a lot of students. When there are seats in my class that are empty, and we're not filled to the brim. But because of this policy, it's like there are seats that are going to be vacant for the rest of the semester when there could be people filling it. and I don't know, it doesn't make much sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you. To speak to that, there are multiple restrictions on class sizes. One of them is the physical size of rooms. Sometimes limits how many students can be in it. But often there are these things called normal closing numbers, which are largely faculty driven, and these give a max cap of the amount of students who can adequately learn in with one professor, despite any facilities. The max number of students who could learn effectively in that class and be getting good education from that class. And that I know a lot of times when there seems to be a lot of chairs around you, it's because of the normal closing number being the full cap size. So they're both, I think, affecting the way that the size of the classes. And there seems to be some contention within faculty and within the process of some faculty are willing to teach more students. They think they can or they are able to. Whereas other faculty are saying, no, we need to limit class sizes in order to make sure that every student gets the attention they need.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit more bewildering seeing an empty seat next to you than it would be to have a full class size. You feel more cognitive learning when you're surrounded by people who are also engaged. So I feel like it's not helping at all.
One thing I'll add is
there are faculty who have actually figured out ways to add students over the cap because they know that they're going to have natural attrition, so they'll end up under cap anyway. But the fact that I personally feeling that faculty have to go through this game with normal closing numbers is a little bonkers to me, and I'd like that to be taken up at a later one of our meetings, and I'd like us to think about, how are we dealing with faculty that maybe, some of them say they want to take on more numbers, some of them they say they can't, maybe make it a bit more of an individual decision, rather than them having to risk the wrath of their dean or whoever it is. And the final thing I'll say is that, so I just want to clarify that this isn't an issue of, just because there are seats in the room, doesn't mean that they can take the student in, is that correct?
Yes.
And where is that set down?
That's done by the Curriculum Instruction Committee. We've been doing that a lot this year. Normal closing numbers are a state-mandated requirement that our institution must have normal closing numbers that apply to all sections within a specific course. So, for example, if English 1A has a specific
normal closing number, then that is the max size for all English 1A classes, unless there's other things such as large construction classes that could go around. Normally, all classes will have a thing, so it's harder to do it as opposed to your professor's personal, what they want to do. I do know that this year, as we've been discussing normal closing numbers, I did most of what, because it's been, I think, one of the first times it was reviewed in years, and I brought up the fact to faculty that most of the normal closing numbers were kind of just past practice. Both our classes have been this size for this long, and so we're going to continue that. And I did ask the question of the faculty being present. I said, okay, say there's a class of 20 students, why did you really look into whether these students would still be able, it would still be an effective learning environment if it was 21 or 22, one or two students for more in there. So there's multiple sections, that's going to be more students getting classes. And the faculty needs to reply that they think they had adequately looked into that. I don't know if that's true, but that is the answer to that question when I raised it.
And my final question is actually to the audience before we get on to more public comment. Are there students here, because obviously you have the S7B class, which is a film class and so on, are there students here who are interested very clearly in taking LGI classes as opposed to the regular 35 students? Just if you could just sort of raise your hands and say you want to take those classes.
We're not really clear what's LGI class.
Large group instructions are classes that have, sort of maybe 60 to 100 to however many students in them. So they would be in a large environment like C333, in the Vossler Forum, the theatre arts classes, some of the psych classes, some of the intro to poli-sci classes that used to be LGIs. And so just once again, how many people are sort of interested in those sort of classes? So that's a fair few. Okay. That's a fair amount.
Thank you. Well, can we get our next speaker, please? Thank you.
My name's Ariana Duffy, and I just have like two stories or these problems that I'm having with the school and with the stuff that's going on. One is I'm not graduating from here until 2013. I'm a biology major, so it takes a little while to get the chemistry classes. Really hard to get into them. I tried to get in chemistry 22 last semester. I was on the waiting list of like, I was number 14. After I was already number 15, I moved up one, and I didn't get it. This semester, I happened to get it by luck. So, and our class is really full, and there's been about 5-6 students in our classes waiting to get in as well. So, I mean, just that fact that we don't have enough of those classes, chemistry classes, and along with other classes, I think it's a problem. And along with I understand the cap, that now there's the cap size of like, you're supposed to have 40 students in a certain class, and that's how many you can have, and that's it. But I had political science, and they told us that the cap size was bigger until this semester. They just automatically wanted to start enforcing it now. And I'm saying, like, you're enforcing this cap size in the middle of the semester, in the middle of spring semester, and it's kind of like, well, what did you do? I've been here for a long time, and I haven't had any problems, and now all of a sudden it's changing when I'm getting ready to graduate, when I'm almost there, and now I'm hearing that we might not have a winter, or we might not have a summer, and that's going to affect me tremendously because I need that winter and summer to transfer in 4 semesters. I have 4 semesters left, and if those 2 are gone, then I have to stay here until 2014. 2015, I won't get to whatever 4-year school until 2016. I'll be like 30 when I'm trying to get a BA. I'll be 40 when I'm trying to get a master's. I'll be 50 when I'm trying to get my doctorate, and I'll be 60 when I actually start practicing and what I'm doing. And by that time, I should have been retired. So starting now, I think is throwing everybody's game off, and I think that that's kind of unfair. If this was going to happen, it should have started next fall, not spring semester. So, and I feel that, I mean, I talked to Dr. Rocha and I talked to Dr. Bell about this problem, and they kind of explained the terms, but I just feel that it's unfair. And also, my second thing is, I have a sister who just started here. She just graduated from Monrovia High. She, by luck, got a couple of classes, but now she's coming into the problems where she has to take frivolous classes to get her units up. She's taking like an Art 14 class. That doesn't even matter. So I feel like if the classes are going to start changing to where we're only going to have the major classes that we need, like math or chemistry or whatever it is, and we're not going to have our classes for our major, like maybe sociology 20-something or something like that, I feel that the IGETC should change then, because I don't feel like my sister should be here taking frivolous classes so that she can get up to take her major classes plus her IGETC classes if the thing is still, the thing is still the same. I have to take major classes and then everything's going to change and the IGETC hasn't changed. So I have no choice but to be here longer. So I just feel that those types of things should be taken into consideration. Thank you.
As a STEM major myself, I feel your pain. I remember taking frivolous classes that are no way necessary for anyone doing a physics or maths or computer science degree, which I'm doing maths and computer science. I've taken so many random classes just to get enrollment priority, so I feel your pain, absolutely. And yeah, it's an issue, especially with STEM majors, and this is a country where we need STEM majors, especially. And we're not getting our degrees. Help me.
Absolutely, and to kind of go to that, to clarify what we're trying to do with the schedule is, I don't think there's going to be an elimination of the classes that are not specifically for IGETC and things like that, but there's going to be a reprioritization for the classes that help you transfer and help you achieve your goals with your transfer certificate, getting a job, or getting a degree, an AA. But I do know that IGETC and the classes that are offered in IGETC or necessary in IGETC are being taken into account in the discussions of what classes we should prioritize. Okay, so I guess I'm going to speak.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brian Travis, and I'm aspiring to become a biochemist. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the board, the AS, for the job you guys are doing, and for really stepping up to the plate and holding a forum like this, because I think it's really what we need. And I know I've spoken to some of you more personally than others, but I just wanted to let you guys know, now that we're in this forum, that although advocating for classes and advocating going to March, I'm signed up to go to March in March, I hope I can go. pending my teacher's request, that advocating is going to take us to, there's a limit to advocating, it's good. But the fact and the reality of the matter is that we need classes now. And so I think as students, I think it's a responsibility to take a more aggressive stance and start demanding these things, because the fact of the matter is that this semester I've been very blessed, and I have a schedule that's going to suit my needs so I can move along in the process. But hopefully I can say the same thing next semester. But I know that for a lot of my friends and 3,000 people who got their classes cut 3 days beforehand, that's not the case. And I'd be seriously pissed off. I mean, really. And so what I want to challenge is you guys as our AS, and I want to empower you guys really more than challenge you guys to do. And we support you guys, we're behind you guys, is that we need to start demanding these classes, and we need to take a really aggressive stance. And that's, I think, a really good thing to do at Board of Trustees meetings. Now, I did want to mention that someone mentioned the large instruction classes. And this semester I'm taking differentiation and integration, and I'm taking Chem 1A. And I have Dr. Turner, and the guy's pretty brilliant, and he's funny. But what I was thinking of doing was, Marilyn Johnson, the chemistry department, has been providing supplemental instruction to all of our classes. Pretty much you have a tutor or someone who's already taken the classes and they're really well in it, and they sit in the class, and afterwards you meet with them, and it's kind of like lab. It's like the equivalent in chemistry for the English lab. And so what I'm thinking of doing is really in this hard time, we need to start looking at our resources and looking at what we have. And as I walk around campus, I see that we have an amphitheater, we have a beautiful forum, we have a Sexton Auditorium, we have Harbinson Hall. And my suggestion to the AS is going to be, let's use those resources, let's put in a Math 5A class or whatever the need is, let's take a Math 131 class, that's a basic skills math class. Let's shove in a reasonable amount of students that can get in there, and then find money, find resources to supplement those instructions. Because that way, I mean, that's what you do at UCLA when you transfer. You go and you sit in a large auditorium. I've been there, I've done it. You know, there's 500 people next to you, and no one cares if you learn it. And that way, people who really want to learn are going to learn it. Because you know what? If you need it and there's a need for it, you're going to learn it. And that's something I learned a long time ago. And if we do that, you know, 500 pairs of ears get to hear the message, and then those who really want to learn, I think we can afford a few people who've taken the class to supplement those classes, be it math, be it science, be it history, whatever it is. And, you know, we use our resources, we use the forum, we use the amphitheater, we use Harbinson Hall, we use Sexton Hall, and then guess what, we're learning. But, I mean, that's something that I hope would be looked into this semester, and it wouldn't be too late. I mean, we have classes on campus that start halfway through the semester, and guess what? I mean, week 2? We have some time, and that's a reasonable solution. Now, among other solutions, I mean, because that's what we need right now. We need solutions. We don't need, oh, we're going to go advocate, we're going to go to Sacramento. I mean, that's great, don't get me wrong, but we need classes now. You know what I'm saying? So, what I think would be a better idea is, let's look at that now, and if we can put up a half a semester class, and you know, they do that with the math path. You know, it's an 8-week class, and they've had some, I haven't seen the statistics myself, but I hear they're good. And guess what? We can do that. And that would be, I think, a really good collaboration point for administration, students, faculty, everybody. And we can pull it off. And guess what? Now we're doing something called student success. That's one suggestion. I could be up here all day, but I'll make it short. Another suggestion is, you know, we keep hearing from our administration that we have zero money, our bank account is zero. But, you know, there's a $13 million reserve out there, and it's public information. And I understand that there's legality to that, and we need to have 5% or whatever it is, but we're a little bit over that, from my understanding. 15%. 15%, okay. Well, I think there's still some overage there. And I just wanted to...
We have 15. Oh, we're required to have 5, and we have 15.
Okay, so we have, okay, on math, okay, so 10%, whatever that 10% of that 13 million, whatever it turns out to be, it's like, I don't know, what, 1.3 million? Yeah, that's about right, Yeah, with the decimal. Yeah, 1.3 million. Hey guys, we have 1.3 million to work with. And, you know, they say the sky's falling, and it kind of is, we don't have our education, so let's do this. I mean, let's use that money. And guess what? If we use that extra 1.3 million, and we only need to use a fraction of it to get someone to tutor, or hire an adjunct as a tutor for the semester, and have them supplement that instruction, guess what? Now we're learning. And whoever wants to learn is really going to learn the material, and then you have results. But among other things, and maybe it's better suited to be said at the Board of Trustees meeting, is that You can't tell students that you have no money and then hire 5 new VPs. You just can't do it. I mean, we're not we're 20 going on 21, going 22, and we're gonna be 20 going on 50 because we have to deal with these issues. And I just don't buy it personally from the board when they say we have no money, but guess what? We have the money to buy 5 new VPs, and we had money to. I came to the board meeting last week and I was so shocked. I was in Florence last semester. That was a great experience. And when I found out they wanted to become Italian, I was devastated. I said, these guys are crazy because we had such a good time out there, and to think that they would cut that is just like it's beyond me. And so my point is that I was in here last time we were protesting. And I think that's necessary, and I think students, we need to do that to get the message out there. But after we get their attention, the storm's going to calm down, and then that's when we need ears to listen and we need solutions. And I just don't think it's reasonable to say that, you know, we don't have money and yet we just bought new desks for our trustees. I mean, they look nice, but, and one thing I'll share with you really briefly is I was in Italy, and it's fashion capital of the world, and someone told me, Ferragamo designer told me, you know, in times of hard and depression, you don't look so good in a Gucci suit. You look better in jeans and a t-shirt. And I think that holds true here. I mean, it'd be nice if our administration showed us that they were with us and they just started wearing their jeans and t-shirt. And you know, pen and paper, a simple desk, that's all you need. And we have the tools to do it. And so that's what I wanted to say to the administration that's here. And I'll have a mouthful to say about that at the next board meeting. But if you guys want to work with us, jeans and a t-shirt, guys. I mean, that's really what it needs to be. Because, like I said, I have one idea, and that's, let's do a big class, let's do an instruction, and we'll get supplemental instruction. We can still do it halfway through the semester. It'll be like the math path version of any other class that you have. And guess what? I think it'll work. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Just really quickly. One of the comments about MathPath, I'm going to totally stand behind because MathPath is a fantastic program and I think everyone should learn that way. I understand that a lot of people don't learn that way, but if I hadn't used MathPath, I'd be here for about 8 years. So I greatly appreciate the MathPath program. And I should hope that everyone has the tools for jeans and t-shirt. Just saying. Thank you again.
Exactly, those are the kind of ideas and things that are, I personally love to hear, and those are the kind of things that we will be taking forward, so thank you. And feel free, by the way, we have still some positions on shared governance committees. Students like yourself who have those ideas, who want to speak like that, those are the kind of students we want to fill those positions. And yeah.
And also really quickly, if you guys, want to go back home and sort of think about these things and have more suggestions, you can always come to our office hours too. I mean, our email addresses are online. You can always email us. You can always go about some things. But if you want to speak one-on-one or in person, feel free to come by because that's really our job. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear this kind of feedback on a regular basis so we can make sure that when we go to these shared governance meetings and we do speak with administrators, we have as much feedback as possible because we do want to represent you guys in the best way we possibly can. So. Thank you again for the suggestions. It's really appreciated.
And sorry, one other comment about the shared governance committees that do need seats filled. We have a fabulous website that is office hours on as.pasadena.edu. It's actually under Get Involved, Shared Governance. There's a little description of a lot of the committees out there, maybe not everyone under the sun, but a lot of them. I'd also like to say something about perception and the jeans and the t-shirt thing, because I know that some of us don't like the jeans and the t-shirt sentiment. But
I love jeans and the t-shirt.
But I think that there's been a disconnect here as far as perception goes. And one of the things that I noticed, and I said this on Friday's special meeting, was there was a moment in Board of Trustees meeting where someone was talking about SASI, SASI, and even to this day, I don't remember what exactly it stands for, but there was a confusion about what it meant, and just now there was a confusion over what LGI meant, and I understand that it's part of business to try to move along and use these acronyms, SASI, LGI, SAFI, whatever it is. But why are we here? We're here for students. And I think that taking that time to ensure that there's not only transparency but accessibility is really important here, so that we're not just bogged down by, or at least the public, the students are not bogged down by these acronyms, and they're not really sure where to go to find out what they are. That's it.
Thanks. Okay, so please.
Hi. My name is Kirsten Marka, and I was directly affected by the cut classes because one of the classes that I always take was actually cut. And when I first came here 7 years ago, I came here partly because I thought PCC was different than other community colleges. Apparently, I'm wrong, because I thought they actually cared about musicians. But yet, every time they want to cut a class, it's, let's cut the music class and the swimming class first. And it's like, okay, so you don't care about musicians then? No, it's, yeah. The other thing is I'm having trouble getting my science class that I need for graduation and transfer, because there's not enough sections of it to, by the time I can enroll, it's already filled up. And the other thing is the swimming class was not cut, but I'm having trouble getting into it because I got an ad code and then I went on and it said class canceled. So what's up with that? Tomorrow to see if I can even get in the class.
Well, good luck. And I'll talk to you afterwards, and I'll see what if I can help clarify what's going on. But I hope that gets better for you. That's not good, especially for someone who's already been affected. That's terrible. But thank you.
Bringing back the music classes because, yeah, I need it. It's not a requirement, but I need it so that when I don't do well in a class, I still have, a good GPA. Otherwise, it'll go down. Thank you.
Thank you. With ad codes and just getting into a class and not knowing is one of the things I was talking about. And when students, it doesn't help that the drop date is actually ad date, because then you end up with a class that has maybe 2/3 of the students that it can have, but the students that wanted to add are no longer able to. And it's a little arbitrary.
If I may, before you comment, I do want to remind or let you all know, for students especially that got directly affected with the class cancellations, to come and talk to us, because we're actually in the process of forwarding those information and just collating all the different students that were directly affected, so we can forward that to the administration. So if you had a class that got canceled, please reach out to us. Currently, I believe emails are being forwarded to Erica Barraza, which is our Vice President for Student Services, but any of us can do the trick. So if you had any class cancel, or if you know anyone that had a class cancel, just come forward and talk to us.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Aguilar. I haven't been directly affected by the cuts, but I still see the effect of it. And it's pretty shocking. Also, I think there's like a misconception with the information about classes. Mr. Rocha says that there have only been about 40 sections cut, when in reality we've cut 90 sections and then added more sections to the classes that are more popular. So I think that there should be a clarification about that. Also, during the last board meeting, he said that he was suggesting fund or fee-based classes which I think is just kind of an example of how we are rerouting our school into a trade school, sort of. We're pipelining people into jobs rather than giving them a genuine education. So I think that that's just a bad idea in general there.
Who the student that spoke on the culinary class that was cut at the Board of Trustees meeting?
Pardon me. Just to hopefully clarify as far as the 90-46 number discrepancy, the college has a normal and regular practice prior of the semester, and don't quote me on this because I don't know the exact process of it, but I know there's a regular practice where classes, low enrolled classes are cut. This is not directly affected by the budget cuts, but it's more so like it's just like a regular process. Now the classes that were cut due to the budget cuts were the 46 section numbers that we're all talking about. So unfortunately I don't have my notes with me right now, but if you want to come forward, I can probably bring in some like resources, some sort of information, but because I was on the Board of Trustees and I saw it and I sat at the BRAC meeting, there was this communication going on as far as like the difference in numbers. And I know, I think the young lady that was here that made the first comment was one of the people that made that comment at the Board of Trustees, and it was addressed, so hopefully that helped. I don't know if you answered your question.
Do I see a vodka class coming up then?
Why yes.
And just to speak to the fee-based classes, when the college talks about fee-based courses, they're talking about courses that community members that aren't traditional PCC students come and ask for, and charging them at a higher rate, so that way we can perhaps offer more courses for our regular everyday students. So just to clarify that, it's not kind of classes that we are already taking for transfer and make them fee-based, but rather classes that community comes to us for. And in terms of, since I was at the BRAC meeting with Daniela and I was at the Board of Trustees meeting, good meeting, by the way. I do want to let you guys know that AS will be compiling an overall fact sheet of everything that's happened and be working with all bodies on campus to make sure that we get accurate information out.
Can you include the what is a fee-based class on that, because I'm still a little confused. So if we get some more information about what that means, I would be appreciated.
Hopefully I can do this justice. In essence, it means that we will be, instead of it being a class that is kind of at the regular going rate of $36 per unit, it is 46 soon enough. It will be, it is charged at a higher rate. So we can charge, my understanding is we can charge what the actual cost of the class is, which we don't to everyday students right now.
So who would have to pay the extra fee beyond $46 per unit?
That would be anyone that, ideally that would be the community members that enroll in that class. So let's say if the community wanted a basket weaving class.
I have a question. Are those classes necessarily academic classes, or are we talking about like community enhancement as far as
community?
Like,
They're not necessarily. Okay,
so they're not going to conflict with the actual academic classes that, because my personal fear, and we haven't had this discussion before, is for a fee-based class to come in between a student that's not necessarily able to pay for that, and then someone that can pay for it have some sort of priority with that. But just to clarify, these fee-based classes are not academic classes, are not like your math or English. They're just community enhancement classes. Okay.
I do want to kind of move on because we have a lot of book on. We want to get to everyone. So hopefully we can make our comments a bit briefer as well. Please.
Hi, my name is Armando Arilla. I want to thank you guys for having this meeting and giving us a chance to actually give our voice. I've been coming here for 3 years. My goal was to be here for 2 years and transfer out ATU. Sadly, that hasn't happened because there's so many students, there's so many, there's like so many budget cuts that are going on that they don't allow them to add on as many students as they can, you know? And I'm not saying like this is, don't add your classes, I can get your classes. No, actually I encourage you guys to try to get classes because basically it's a gamble. Coming here is a gamble. if I wanted to gamble, I'll go to Vegas. Honestly, but in this rate, I wanted to be the first one to graduate my college from my family. But in this rate, I don't know how long it's going to take. And I want you guys, I want to tell you thank you for actually putting the word out there for us. And keep fighting the fight, don't get discouraged. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Archana. Actually, I got the budget cut affected me a lot. I'm sorry I'm not a good speaker. And I just want to ask you, I want to tell you that we have like good professors that they are willing to have more students, as you say. And why don't you give the chance to them that they can have more students? So, and we can beat their students. It's nothing to do with the budget cut, because you're not paying them more, I think. And I think you just let them to teach the students that they're willing to study over there.
Summarize. Basically to say that there are professors who are willing to teach more students, and they should be given the right to teach the students, because they're good professors who are willing to teach the students, and they shouldn't be, I guess, stripped of the ability to do that. It's helping the students, and the professors are willing and able to do it.
Hi, my name is Jasmine. I'm a fourth student, nursing student, and I was not really directly affected by the budget cuts. However, I feel the need to take a possibly unpopular position here tonight. I do understand all of you guys' frustration and you being upset because you're not getting into certain classes or whatnot, but I've actually been going to a community college since 2006, and I'm just now going to be finishing. Things like classes canceled or you can't get in because it's already full, these things are going to happen. This is college, this is life. Like, it's not all because of the budget cut. And I know it sucks when it's happening to you, but I mean, we're sitting here in front of our faculty and we're saying that we're taking frivolous classes. This is a Center for Higher Education. There's such thing as frivolous knowledge. Like, you're complaining because you learned something that you weren't planning on learning. I mean, PCC apologizes, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's really all I wanted to say. Oh, one more thing. One thing that has been concerning me, actually, like I said, I'm personally not really affected. However, all our faculty seems to be like heavily affected. It's basically every time we have class, we hear from them how they're continuously being hassled to basically leave, like they're being asked to retire early. I know several members of the nursing faculty have been let go over break, and the hours for our nursing retention counselor were cut drastically too, which is really important, you know, to retain students in the program. And yeah, those things are, I guess, some things that are going on the other campus, the CUC campus, where the nursing department is now. That's just what I represent. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much.
I always like a brief comment on my word choice for frivolous. I didn't intend it to mean that. I actually appreciate the class that I did take very much. It just didn't contribute to me graduating and getting out of here. So I apologize if there was any confusion.
But I'd still be considered one of those students that has like 2 classes left to go. It's a bio and a math class. So I signed up for those 2 classes. I was put on the waiting list. I was like number 3 on the waiting list for those classes. Normally, I would assume that gave me a pretty good chance of getting in the class. All of a sudden, about 2 weeks before the semester started, like a week and a half, I got pushed to like number 10 and number 12 on the waiting list. Like all of a sudden, and then the day before the class started, on both sections it said waitlist ended. On the class, it didn't say class canceled or anything. So So I'm kind of, it's been a week and I still can't get a real answer to that. I'm wondering also how much of that is actually being considered into the numbers when we talk about classes getting cut, because I mean, we were told that there was a wait list, and at the end of the day, there wasn't a wait list. So I have that's a problem. Oh, and also, so as far as providing those low enrollment classes, I think a lot of the times those low enrollment classes are important for students like me and other students who aren't able to get those classes but still need to get the 12 units for whatever reason. And so I had to sign up, after I found out that I was going to be on the waiting list for those classes, I ended up with a schedule that looked like crazy. I had like 10 classes because I was on the waiting list for 3 important classes, so I had to take like Spanish conversation. So Spanish conversation is a class that's like a low enrollment class, I suppose. And that class was cut, so now I went from a schedule that looked like I had 10 classes to a schedule that looks like I have 3 classes, and I've fallen way below 12 units. And I was even providing a safety net for myself. That was, okay, sign up for 10 classes, and then you'll get at least 4. Didn't happen because of the result of like a combination of all the things at one time. So those are my 2 things. I think those low enrollment classes are important in these hard times, and I also think I'd like to get some clarification on what happened with the wait list. And as far as, I know you guys were talking about solutions, I just want to say, that what we did at the Board of Trustees meeting was really commendable. I'm really excited to come back this semester and see that there's such an energy because, and I really don't appreciate the comments from the administrators saying that we were being uncivilized or that, we should wait for our time to speak, because a lot of us have been coming to these meetings, to these Board of Trustees meetings to, trying to be part of the shared governance program, and then 2 weeks before the semester starts, they try to do something like this to us. So really don't appreciate those comments, and I think that, the solution is just to keep putting pressure on them. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could just briefly go off of that, and then I'll let Bijan speak. I've already seen some progress in that, and I think it's because of the students who have been speaking out, the students who have been going forward. I think we are being heard already. I've already been in meetings where the student voice has been raised to a level of respect that I hadn't seen yet, and I think that that's happened these last couple of weeks because students are getting involved, students are being active, and the student voice is being heard, and that's something that is powerful. And I think that I agree that those kind of actions, like what happened on Wednesday, the idea of students coming out and voicing their opinion is something that should not stop. That's something I appreciate.
Hello, my name is Bijan. I have a few bullet points of issues that I want to discuss. First of all, to the brother that said maybe we should have huge classes for math, I kind of disagree with that. I think that we need to have learning as our first priority, and I don't believe in a class of 200 people you can actually learn math, English, and subjects like that you need personal attention. So while like maybe lecture classes that would work on like such classes, I don't believe it would work. The issue of shared governance, that's a very important issue. It has failed at this college. Students do not have a role in the decision making. The cuts did not go through students. We got cut. So the talk about shared governance and joining these committees, when the decisions are already made for us and we have an advisory vote, that is not shared governance. Tying into that, I would like to comment on the presence of the police. I know Chris made a great comment at the Board of Trustees, but this is insane. We had a meeting outside, out in the open, and we had 7 cops there. We had 7 cops for an outside meeting in front of the mirror pool. And I don't think that's right. I also don't think that the academic senate meetings should be policed that way, where there's only a few chairs, reduction of chairs. How are students supposed to be involved in their own college when they're not invited to the meetings. Few chairs, all of a sudden the fire codes are like being implemented everywhere. We've had meetings at that same room where it was packed surrounding the thing. Now we have both cops, and this is a form of intimidation. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And as students, we don't stand for that, and we're not scared. And I hope that you guys speak out for us, because you did, and I hope everybody else does as well. And my next point is the cuts. I really am proud of this board, because for the first time, the AS board took a strong position against the cuts. But these cuts are not new. We had 300 last year. Students protested, but the AS didn't take a strong position like they did this past week. And now, at the Academic Center, Miller gives a presentation about 540 sections being cut this coming year. 540 sections. That's winter and summer. And Roche has already said that they are going to cut winter and summer. Those are essential to transferring. I'm finally transferring, and it was because of winter and summer. So I really am looking to you guys to take a position against the 540 cuts. We can't take those cuts as a given. We're going to fight them, and I hope you guys are part of that fight. And I'll just give the...
Thank you.
I was at the Academic Senate meeting until I gave up my seat for a presenter and then wasn't allowed back in. And then the AS was offered an expanded police presence tonight. We did not take it.
They still showed up. We have 4 out there.
But there's none in here. Well, the 1 in here, but that's about it.
And just to briefly, my apologies, just about the idea of shared governance and our seats on it. This Wednesday at the College Council, I believe, we will specifically be advocating for more student seats on at least one shared governance committee, which is the enrollment management committee, which is important. Yes.
What room is it going to be in?
That's
And is the public going to be able to be at these meetings? Because if they're trying to limit the seats and tell us that we're not allowed in them,
what they're doing is they're moving most of the large, if not all of the large and more important shared governance committees, excluding the college council, into this room, the Krevlin Lounge. And we'll also be filming and broadcasting live every single one of those meetings. I do know that, yeah, today I went to the Academic Senate. I was late, but I was not allowed in, even though I am technically the AS liaison to that body. And that's because of fire code, and that was upsetting. But we are trying to get more official representation on shared governance to at least be equal to faculty classified.
Finally, the College Council voted pretty much almost unanimously to bind itself voluntarily to the Brown Act, which is the Open Meetings Law, which says that anyone from the public has the absolute right to come and speak on anything, and that was a voluntary decision by the College Council this semester, or last semester. So we'll be holding the College Council to that.
Please, thank you.
Hi, my name is James, and I was here on Wednesday, and I was so inspired by the students. I think it was about 200 students that participated. And I was so inspired that when I got home, I just had to write an open letter to the PCC students. And I posted it in the Students for PCC Facebook page. Because I think this issue is an issue for each and every student enrolled here. And someone told me that there's about like 25,000 students or 20,000 students enrolled this semester. 200 is a small percent out of all the student body. And I think this is an issue for each and every one that's enrolled, directly or indirectly. I had 17 units. My anthro got cut, so I'm down to 14. So thank God I'm still full-time, or else my financial aid would be screwed up. I come from a place where we don't really have a lot of democratic rights. And it was a public university that I went to. And what's happening here is very familiar. Every year they cut budget to our college, and eventually our public college or public university will probably become a private university in the Philippines. So I think it's not an issue of cutting class here, there, or whatever, or government, the state is cutting budget, but I think it's a systemic approach to converting public institutions, rights for the people, into profit-making machines. Yeah, so I can't stay too long or speak too long because I have a 6:20 class and I hope my teacher forgives me. So in my open letter for PC students, I had a call for the AS to take leadership because I think it's about leadership that you guys got elected, and I'm not sure if some of you will take that call or request seriously. At least 15,000 students mobilized in small or big ways, whether it's writing a letter or signing, yes, I'm for more education, basically making PCC more accessible and having more quality education as compared to making this campus pretty. It's a pretty campus, but I think what's important is having access to the public. I don't have a lot of choices. So as a lot of students here, we don't have a lot of choices. We have to work, we have to get financial aid, and I think that's the primary focus of the administration, and the AS should lead the studentry to fighting for a campus that's more accessible and having great teachers, having quality education. And the semester has just started. I think it's going to be a great semester, and I do really hope that some of you guys will take the leadership in getting 20,000 students mobilized and really bring power to turn around, the budget cuts. Thank you.
Good luck in class. Let us know if you need to write an email or something.
Hello. Hi. My name is David, and I'm a student in my second year. I haven't really been affected by the class, so I can't really speak for a lot of people here who has been affected and has been devastated by what has been going on. I'm just here for a question that I just want to ask you guys. It seems that PCC has been very alert and very aware of what's going on. I was wondering if the transfer universities were also considering the fact that there has been devastating cuts. Because one of my good friend here, is trying to get this Math 55 class. It's the highest math class. He's a genius and he can take it. The problem is that he doesn't have a room. He's a 4.0 student but cannot get this class. And he's about to transfer into UC Berkeley or Cornell, whatever it may be. But because he cannot take this class, he has to call UC Berkeley. He has to call all these universities and tell them, hey, I can't get this class. Will this affect me? It seems that UC Berkeley, for example, weren't aware of exactly his situation. So they kind of put him on hold, and they told him to call back. So I was wondering what is exactly going on in terms of, does the transfer university know about this? Are they considering the fact that some of or even thousands of our students aren't getting the classes we need, and hey, maybe they might not get this class even though they told that they would be able to get an application?
I've been trying to help the student who you're talking about get his class. And one of the things that I personally want to help hold was what I call the President's Promise, 2Ps, which was simply that if you're that close to graduating and you need one class, then you will get a class and get out of here, because I don't think any of us want to spend the rest of our lives in Pasadena City College as students. What I would say to students that are in that situation is that by talking not just to us, but to, through us to the administration, to the faculty, to whoever they need to talk to, we can try and help as much as we can. I hope the transfer institutions are aware of this, because I think they're having a similar situation as well. And so, yeah.
Right. And actually, Alex and I did have a conversation with one of the vice presidents, Dr. Bell, and something that he is doing for students who can't get into those classes for whatever reason, but are right about to transfer, is he's writing letters to the universities like UC Berkeley, who do understand. I mean, I'm pretty sure that most college universities at this point hopefully understand that we're all facing a lot of cuts and a lot of students are facing
unfortunate situations. And so it's basically saying, you know, this student only needs this one class, but unfortunately was unable to take it because the administration hasn't cut these classes that are required. So I think if we forward this information and get something done, we can definitely help in that.
And any student that's in the situation, any student that you guys know that is in the situation, please tell them to contact us, because there are always avenues that we can at least explore, even if we can't help directly. At least we can point them in a direction where they may be able to get some help. So that's what we're here for, I suppose.
Okay, well, there's one more thing I have to say. Well, I'm taking 4 English classes, and every single 4 of them was chock full of students in the first 2 days or whatever, first 2 days. And by this week, or not even this week, the second day actually, none of them really appeared. All these people were trying to crash and get into the wait list. They actually didn't come back, and made us, the students, and the teacher wondering, well, why haven't they come if they were so rebellious and so adamant about getting the classes? So what I'm trying to say is that there are room in this school, that there are classes, and even though it might seem bad and it might seem very terrible, that all your hope that maybe you're not getting the classes you need, you can't transfer, well, there is room, and I just want you guys to really work hard to get it. Because yes, AS is doing a very fantastic job, and I applaud you guys for all your hard work and your endeavors. But we students ourselves have to really push it, and we're the ones who have to make the change also. So please, I urge you guys to, if you guys didn't get the class, then try another one, try it again, try as long as you can until you actually get it. So thank you.
Doesn't seem to be a line. Anyone else have any questions, comments?
Yeah, actually, I want to say something.
Yes, please.
I guess I have a comment for that gentleman. I mean, my name is Ian Wong, and you know, there are students who try very hard to get classes, and they're still not able to get classes. So I encourage actually students to come to board meetings, consistently come, and just really pressure the board of trustees. I mean, do whatever you can to get your education back.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say something. Like, my name is Miguel Florencio. Some of you on the board actually know me, and I just want to say my experience of what I've been through and what every student should go through. I'm very fortunate enough to be coming into my first year at PCC in the Puente program, which a lot of you guys know about. And there's also the junior program where they guarantee you an English and math class. And like, I know a lot of students, like some of my friends who are coming from PCC or coming from high school to PCC, they had to take like random classes, like what John said, like some classes you don't even need for your major or for your elective or electives to get those units. And I was very fortunate enough to get into that program, to get all the stuff that I needed, the units that I have, to get the units that I have, and I was able to get priority over a lot of my friends, which is very unfortunate, in which every student should actually get it. And it wasn't until this year where I actually had trouble to get the classes that I wanted enrolling into winter and spring. And I mean, I don't want every student to get that, but like I want every student to like not worry about, should I get this class or this class just because I need units? But they should be like, I don't have to worry about taking this class because I already got this class covered. I got the requisite or whatnot. And I also want to say that since I'm like majoring in radio, sound engineering, that's what my major is that there's a TBR 120 class I took it over the winter, and it was very unfortunate. Like the instructor Scott Carter, he kept on saying how sad he was that it might be that class might be only once a year, and like that class is really essential for all like radio or people who want to go in radio and the industry and whatnot, because that's where I got experience of how to do like mic techniques, how to do like not instruments, but like vocal techniques as well. And all that stuff is really essential for like people who want to go in that area, and that shows that we're being really affected by this. And I just wanted to say that try to save us if you guys can, I guess. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, AS, for putting this wonderful event on. I just want to say there's been some rumors going around that some of the professors who have been speaking out have been getting threats. And I just want to say to all the faculty and students, don't be scared to speak out. There are students that have your back, and we will continue to mobilize and take necessary action to get the classes moving back. So, thank you.
I just wanted to know if there's any recommended courses of actions that you guys have for us, aside from going to meetings and everything.
If I could just briefly go on to that, I know that we want to speak. Definitely going to meetings is something, you can always join one of our committees if you want to do that. We're doing a lot of, I think, good work. My specific committee deals with a lot of these academic, I chair the academic commission, deal with a lot of these academic problems, coming up with opinions and representations on exactly what's happening academically here on campus. Other things you can do to get involved is you can get the word out. You can start having student meetings, and getting involved not only with us, but with all other students, talking to your classes, talking to any student that you can to really get involved and make sure that if there's a vibrant student voice here on campus, that's the most powerful thing that there is for the student voice.
Also something that you can really take advantage of is all the services that we have on campus, like tutoring or like the various programs that, for example, Miguel mentioned, like UP-Man, Puente, programs that help you get classes or that guarantee you a spot. All of those are available, but not a lot of people know about them. So like doing your research, applying for scholarships, like the ones that we're offering, like all of those resources are here for you, but you need to take some initiative to look for them. So we really encourage you to like be involved in that.
Another thing you can do to try to help fight against these section cuts is attend the March and March. We have the sign-up list in the back. Carrie has it right now. Gary's waiting. Oh, Emma has it.
You don't get to sign up. Mandatory meeting tomorrow at noon. So if you don't get to sign up, just go to mandatory meeting tomorrow at noon.
What room, Carrie?
Circadian.
Circadian. So tomorrow at noon will be the mandatory meeting for those of you that are not signed up and interested to go. And last but not least, I feel like another way for students to get more bullets per se, not literally, would be just to stay informed. We're putting a lot of effort into putting all the information that we have access to available for you guys, and the best way for us to do that indirectly will be through our website. So we're arduously working towards putting different blog posts. I will put information as far as brag, and I know my fellow board members will do as well to the information that they have access to. So information is power, and the best way to be persuasive and strategically speaking to have an effect, we need to have the right knowledge when you come in and when you want to address certain issues. So just keep me informed and making sure that, if you can, attend our committee meetings and join in all the other suggestions that our board members.
Just as an FYI, every single piece of information that we get, whether it's from shared governance, whether it comes from the constituent groups, whoever we get it from, whether it's the high president of the United States or whoever, we will be putting on our AS website. There's a subscribe button on there, and we're going to start using that to make sure that stuff, if you sign up there, go to the very top, associated students, next to it says subscribe. We're going to start emailing updates to those email addresses regularly with every piece of information that we get. So not only are all these shared governance meetings being posted to pcc.edu, capacity.edu, PCC, the website's different, capacity.edu, we're also going to put everything we get, and please just keep talking to us is another way. Because if we aren't being talked to, then there's only so much that we can do as well, and there's only so many places we can go. We meet every Wednesday in a business meeting, kind of like the Board of Trustees does, and we want students to come and tell us how they feel and what we should be doing. And I think we're going to move there momentarily.
Just to piggyback on what everyone on the board just said. I would say that the bottom line is that get involved, because just to kind of reformat one of Martin Luther King's old quotes, just for PCC, involvement anywhere here at PCC is empowerment everywhere at PCC. Because if you are to join a club, a program, you develop relationships with faculty, staff, other students that you may not already have. That way, you yourself can become a conduit of somebody else's information, somebody else's success, somebody else's voice. And in that way, the voice of the students becomes louder, louder and louder to the point where we are truly a driving force here at PCC. So please take advantage of events like the Wiggle Welcome, all the rest of the events that AS or other programs may have. Because again, if you're involved, you're definitely going to be able to serve PCC in much better fashion.
And also really quickly, and I know that we have comments, so I'll try to make this brief. AS elections are coming up as well. So if you're interested in student government and you want to make sure that you are representative, or you want, to be sort of a liaison between the administration and the student body, participate and run and hopefully win, and then you can get involved as well. You can learn more about all of this stuff. So more information on that will be coming up. We'll definitely be putting it on our website. We have been making class visits lately, and we'll definitely try to continue that, just so students who don't necessarily have access to computers can find out that information as well. So yeah, and also just give us feedback, because that really helps us do the best job that we can. So.
Please, Myra.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a question and I have a suggestion. So last spring, unfortunately, I received an unsatisfactory grade in a particular history class. And this class was not offered I know these cuts have been happening gradually. So this specific class was not offered in the summer, and I wanted to take it. It was not offered last fall, and it was not offered in the winter, and now it wasn't offered this semester. As a department, I've been getting the runaround. So are some of these classes that have been cut, are they being cut completely? Or what can I do to take this class over, because it hasn't been offered for the past 2 semesters and 2 intersessions?
Can I ask what class it is?
History 27A.
Okay. I know a lot of those kind of classes are only offered intermediately anyway, and so that's just kind of one thing that we do. I know that off of our roster, I heard numbers today that we have, I think, 1,700 different classes that we offer. At any one time, we only offer about 700 of those. And so but at this time, no class has been taken off our roster or being possibly offered, but I don't know specifically. It's that, especially those questions, are really on the division level. The division decides what classes to offer.
Okay, and second, I don't know if someone suggested this already. I kind of had to leave for a little bit, but my friend who goes to UC Riverside, when they started having a problem with the people, like the freshmen and sophomores getting classes, they kind of capped the seniors and juniors to, only getting 14 units and then having a second registration date to see if anything was left. So maybe that's something we could probably try to do here at BCC.
So a faculty member mentioned that today in the enrollment management committee, and I think that's a good idea. I looked into to see whether our IT can handle it, because unfortunately that's not a promise on this campus, that our computer system will really handle that kind of registration system, but that's definitely on the table. So thank you, Myra.
I would also suggest talking with the professor, because I know that sometimes there's only one professor who will teach that class, and they will rotate what they teach, and so they will only teach it every once in a few years. So you may also want to talk with the professor. That's suggested.
One thing I plan on bringing up as we talk about, I don't know if people have heard about this graduation fund, which isn't actually to fund commencement, which a lot of people think it is, but to fund high demand classes, is that when we decide on these high demand classes, one of the suggestions I'm going to bring forward is that we do it on a basis of smart scheduling. So that by looking through the groups that are close to transferring, by looking through the classes, and looking at the ones that are high demand, but also high demand for transfer, and that some of that money can be apportioned specifically to fund the classes that are going to get students out the most. Again, it's just a suggestion, and a variety will be able to handle it, but it's one thing that I plan on bringing forward, and I know there are a bunch of various different suggestions, and more of them will be welcome.
I'm just going to jump in and make an announcement for the rest of the students who are here. The reason why we're videotaping is because a lot of the communities going up to Sacramento, and they actually need some more stories. So after this is over, we have a series of 3 questions. If you're willing to stay and share your experience, because that's what we put together to bring up to Sacramento and Washington, D.C. when they go lobby federally. So I really encourage a lot of you, if you've got 10 minutes afterwards, to stay and do a real quick 3 questions, really easy, painless like this.
Thanks. Please.
Let me just do this. I'm sorry, excuse me for being called.
I just had another kind of comment about the class limits because I think it's important just to get all the stories out there. I actually heard of an online physics class that a specific professor was actually kind of upset about the class limit being that it was an online class. And I really like the idea of the online learning because I think it does give students an opportunity, more students an opportunity to take classes. So he was just kind of upset because he couldn't add more students to an online class where there's not even an issue of any fire limits or in the classroom or anything like that. And it's very manageable for him to manage those online classes. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Also, and I like it that there are some trustees here in the room also to take this in. I just want to get it out there that the trustees are actually elected by constituency that is based off of students and the students' parents and stuff like that live in the area. And a lot of us don't even know that. And so it's important for us to know that we do elect our trustees, and so that's another avenue for us to get involved is to look into who we're actually electing as trustees and so. But also, one more thing I wanted to speak about was is our ability to block classes for things like, I'm a mechanical engineering major, and I know that it would be useful for me to have a block class with math and physics together or something like that, and I'm sure a lot of other STEM majors could attest to that. So I think it would be useful to maybe take a look into getting some curriculum that involves block classes for STEM majors. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other comments, questions?
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, about the Spring Forward program. I was just curious, how would that work? So it's already implemented?
No, it's from what I understand, it's still the very beginning stages, but it should be going fairly quickly of what we're going to do, and it should start in about 3 weeks, I think. In March, and it will be I think a short 12-week intersession within spring semester, and we're doing our best to make sure that it'll help those students have full-time status, so they will have their financial aid and their insurance and what have you available to them, and it will focus on those students, especially who are affected who need classes transferred.
Spring Forward is actually where I got my idea for the smart scheduling idea, because the way that they're populating that is going to be in a similar way that looking at displaced students and figuring out classes there, which sort of said to me, hey, why aren't we doing that anyway?
And I was personally contacted with the question of, are these classes going to be specifically only for those students? And it's certainly targeted for those students, and those students are the ones who need to get them. But I would be surprised and shocked if these classes were offered and, for example, it's a 30-person class and only 20 students who need to take it were the affected students and the 10 extra were given out to other students. So we are going to do our best to make sure that this is as effective for all students, especially those affected. Yeah.
Can you explain, I guess, the graduation fund and the Spring Forward, and what's the difference and how that's going to help students?
The Spring Forward is specifically an initiative for this semester to counteract the effects of the recent cuts, the cuts the week before the semester. And it's going to be a one-time thing specifically to address that. Whereas the graduation fund will be just a fund that's created through voluntary donations that will, throughout, starting next semester, or next year probably in the fall, start creating classes that are specifically high-demand transfer classes to get students as able to graduate and to move on and to achieve their own goals. And that will hopefully be a continuing thing that perhaps will continue to have revenue enhanced so that fund can always help that in that area. But that won't start until the fall. Yes?
Yes, I also was on the waiting list for a class, and I checked today and it says waitlist ended. Does that mean I'm not on the wait list anymore for the class? I don't get it.
Were you on it, like just written on it, or were you online registered?
Online.
Have you checked your schedule? Does your schedule still say you're on the waiting list?
Yeah.
Yeah? Then you will still be on the waiting list.
I don't know, it said waiting list ended, I don't know what that.
On the class schedule, you mean?
Or I can print out the,
Is it on your specific schedule or on the scheduled classes for the entire school?
my schedule.
They said waitlist ended? I don't know what that means. Does anyone else? You can find out specifically what it says on your schedule, waitlist ended? Yeah. Okay. We'll find out. Yeah, I know.
I just want to make sure I can clarify as to the avenues that us students can take to talk to you. We can email you correctly. We can email you do you guys have pasadena.edu emails by chance? No? Okay. Just want to make sure. We can call you. You guys, your office is downstairs, immediately downstairs, correct? You also have March and March. You have shared governance, which will be online. It has descriptions of that, correct? As for the information from Bracken, any information regarding this issue, because I have the problem of getting different stories of what happened, things like that. You have all that information on the website, correct? And that will also be given to those that are on the subscribe list. Oh, and then you can also join the committees and run this spring. Oh, cool. Okay, thank you.
I get the feeling those weren't actual questions. Well, one thing that you didn't mention, funnily enough, one of the things we said at the very beginning of this is that we can't make promises today. And that's because when we make our promises, when we make our plans for action, that's on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock. So, because that's our regular business meeting, and that's a specific term that means that that's where we just get together and we make funny things called motions. And what those do is they say, well, this is where AS is planning to go. So we can talk about, sort of different ideas, we can get feedback. This Wednesday will be where we as a group, so all 12 of us, will have a big discussion about, well, where do we want to go with this now? And that means that we'll probably take some sort of action, whatever that action looks like. Students can have an input in on too. We can't do that here because of some funny Californian laws. But at these Wednesday business meetings, you guys are welcome to come. We meet right over there in CC 212. There's a whole group of people on the wall, and so it's a nice little conference room. Everyone's welcome to come to that, and that's the place where we do make decisions, and we do actually say, well, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to treat the situation, and that's that. So, and members of the public are just as welcome as these events to come to us and tell us what they think we should do there too.
Yeah. I talked to a faculty member, and I'm not really sure if what she said was true about President Rocha wanting to buy more laptops and computers. Since we have so little money, we don't have enough. It really doesn't make sense why we would buy more laptops or computers, since most of the students at PCC already own their own laptops. And her lab that she works at, they have about 15 computers, and she said that in the last 5 years they've only used it twice, which makes no sense. So if they're going to buy more laptops or computers, might as well just use that money for the classes rather than just buying technology that we don't need.
From what I understand, our technology on campus, especially our system that deals with basically everything, registration, emails, all sorts of things, and really our database on campus is extremely old. It was 83 or something? 82. My apologies, 82. And so one of the priorities right now of the administration is to upgrade that system. And to go along with that, I think I've also heard that will include having to upgrade a lot of the computers and these hardware here on campus to basically be able to run the new system, since a lot of our hardware is also relatively old. I know what we're doing, and I know specifically in BRAC, is we're calling for efficient spending across the board. Definitely the prioritization of classes and sections above anything else, but for any needed upgrades, for it to be an efficient spending. So if there's, for example, a lab that isn't being used properly, either start using the lab properly or don't put money into it. And those are the kind of things that we hope to continue to say when we're in these discussions as they come up.
And one thing I'll just add to that is one of the conversations we're going to be having during our Wednesday groups is going to be which of the spending priorities of the campus we want to support and which ones we think maybe the college should start rethinking, which ones should be changed. So spending priorities is something that the AS is going to start discussing over the next few weeks, including technology funding.
Will there be another BRAC meeting? Or was that like a one-time meeting? Or
It's every Friday.
every Friday in this room at 12?
Fridays here at 12.
To make a comment about as.custom.edu, it's run by us, more specifically like on myself. I oversee at least 90% of the content that goes on there. I am directly the one doing all that technological stuff, all that blogging, all the proofreading, formatting, everything. So, and as efficient as 12 people on the board are, and the handfuls of people on committees, imagine how much more we could do if more people were on our committees. Now, I know I'm speaking to a small room here. I mean, people have classes, people have things to do, but I encourage you all to encourage others to stand with us, and if they've got special skills like, hey, IT, or if they've got a knack for talking to people, hey, lobby committee, or actually all of us could use even if we were going to speak public speaking, because I'm not doing any of this, but which is ironic in public relations. But anyways, if you all could, and we really appreciate all of you showing up, if you guys could pass on the message, we would appreciate that so much. Putting out there.
Yeah, and
Is there a BRAC meeting this Friday?
Yes.
no,
Not this Friday.
Not this Friday, but the Friday.
not this Friday, apparently. Good question. So, okay. It is said, yeah, please.
Yeah, I do have a question about, I was concerned about the communication, because I do realize there is not an effective communication between the AS and the population of the students. Because, I mean, I personally wouldn't have known about this meeting unless I was in AS, and I was in AS for the previous semester, so I think maybe there should be a way to actually send out the information about a lot of stuff that maybe you guys have got from the Board of Trustees meeting, and then send it out to the students so we have accurate information.
One of the things that we don't have access to is the ability, and we've been able to do it once, but we had to request pretty seriously for about a few weeks, a constant asking, is the ability to email all students.
Okay.
We are not given that privilege, I suppose. It's something that we think that absolutely this AS has said several times that we should have.
Yeah.
That we should have the ability to sparingly, because we don't want to clutter up student email boxes,
Right.
but sparingly get out information about AS to the entire student body. Unfortunately, we have not yet been allowed to really do that, and it's something that we are going to start advocating on, because we think it's very important that students are aware who represents them, and what we can do for them, because right now, one of the big complaints we've had at previous town halls has been, well, we didn't even know this was happening until someone told us there was free food and ushered us inside, and that's not the way it should be, and we want every student to know that if they have an issue, they can come, that's what we are here for. So that's something we're going to be advocating for, the ability to directly email all students with information about associated students and how they can get involved without actually, and obviously that doesn't mean we get your email addresses in person, because then that would be a whole privacy issue. But then we have a system that could let us do that, and Joe's just negotiating access to the system.
I guess going back to the email, because I do realize that you guys in the past had an email for all the students, and I'm not really sure, I guess I kind of want to have a clear understanding of what happened to the email.
When was that?
The passive
What?
the email for the students.
We used to have something, I think it was called Pegasus, and there's some sort of, it was like your network ID at paccd.ca.
Yeah,
that thing. That thing was trashed essentially because it wasn't working properly. You couldn't access it if you were off campus, and so it was horribly inefficient. And so it was trashed, and as what my understanding of it is that we are now trying to move forward. VP for IT, Glenn Cable, is trying to move forward on a pasadena.edu, so you're not typing in a bunch of weird letters and periods everywhere. So pasadena.edu, I think they are trying to implement it this coming fall, and that's the track that they're on, and I think that with that, we will be much more successful in being able to send out emails to students.
Because I mean, I do believe like information is power, and there are a lot of students who aren't aware of what's happening around campus. I mean, the budget cuts. I mean, I feel like the ones that do know are the ones that are affected, and the ones that aren't affected, they really have no idea what is going on.
And one of the things that I've actually been trying to do is trying to get more classroom visits, because I remember when I was campaigning and when I was campaigning with Ms. Lake, we ran around the campus saying, hey, we're running for AS, and they'd be like, great, what is that? So that's something that we're trying to solve as well by going to groups of students that are captive in their classrooms and trying to get the word out that way. But I don't think this is actually
Yeah, but I do appreciate the flyers that you guys sent out, even the ones that in campus that really help to get out the information about this town hall meeting.
Okay. But just to clarify something really quickly, PCC students have never had like a pasadena.edu email address the way that a lot of other campuses have. We did have Pegasus, but that was the closest thing we've ever really had to it. Aside from that, we've never had that sort of system, and so hopefully we're going to have that very, very soon, ideally in the fall, and that is something that Vice President for IT is working on, and that is something that I know Associated Students is definitely advocating for as well, and hopefully we'll see that. So we can email students, and we can get the word out in a way that isn't just limited to people who occasionally go to the quad, or who are in AS, or involved with us in some way or another.
Oh, sorry, I do have another question. Now for I think there will be I guess the mandatory orientation meeting tomorrow from 12 to 1, right? Now, is that when we have to bring in the $25 refundable deposit tomorrow as well?
Yes, very good question. If you are going to Brush March tomorrow, you must bring the $25 refundable deposit to the meeting tomorrow.
Now, I heard there was another meeting, right? You can't make it for the one tomorrow.
There is. The one is, I believe it's Wednesday night at 5:30.
No, 5 to 6:30.
Where would that be?
Also circadian. For those that don't know where the circadian is, the circadian is if you were to exit the cafeteria from the leftmost door to where I am now, probably all of you are rightmost, it's directly outside and to the left. So that's where the circadian is.
So tomorrow's going to be at the circadian as well?
Yeah.
And the circadian is right across from the L building too. So where that little garden is and where those bike racks are, it's just like past the piazza, like once you exit from the leftmost place.
It's the northmost room attached to this building.
Closest to Colorado.
Walk towards
Hug the wall, and the last door that you get to,
We'll have signs.
We'll have signs.
And directions for people who don't know what all the fancy names for the buildings on campus are as well. So we'll definitely.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, again, thank you all so much for coming out. Really, we do appreciate it. And I got a lot of notes, and we're going to use this and talk about this on Wednesday and in the future. Make sure that your voice is also included in our voice. So thank you all very, very much.
One thing, just to add, on Wednesday, not only will we be discussing what we discussed, but also starting to figure out strategy. I know that's one of the things we didn't really get to tonight. But again, you're all more than welcome to come to CC212 and talk to us about how we should be approaching this issue and where we should go as your student representatives. So thank you.
Additionally,
12 p.m.
Additionally, those of you who haven't shared stories or didn't get a chance to, please feel free, I guess I'm the new point person for this, please feel free to type up your emails and send them to me. My email is on the pasadena.edu website under VP for Student Services. So once again, please feel free to voice your concerns and please send them to me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very, very much. Please get some stuff on the way out because I can't drink much coffee.
Minor correction, as.pasadena.edu, not pasadena.edu. If you search Erica Bronze, I'm not sure what will come up, but I know if you go to as.pasadena.edu, you will definitely find her.
Thank you. Thanks.
My name is Myra Whittington. That is MyraWhittington. And hello, Jerry Brown and the rest of the state people who, you know, basically make all these decisions that affect my future. What's been happening is very counterproductive to my education. I've been here at Pasadena City College for a little longer than I expected. I'm not getting my classes, and it's very discouraging. And I feel that you guys should make education more of a priority. I know the state is having all these problems with funding and everything, but if you guys could just put education up more, that would be helpful to a lot of us who have been here, who have been at, well, whatever community colleges we are, or universities that we're coming from, that are having these cuts that are very effective to us and very discouraging. So you guys are making a lot of people very depressed, very worried about their futures, and I would just appreciate it if you all would cut us some slack. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael. That's Michael Abifair. That's MichaelAbiFarah. I'm a student here at PCC. Been a student for 5 years now. I'm a biology major. Finally on track to transfer this semester, or this year actually, this past 2 years. Finally started needing my classes that I needed. Until these budget cuts came along, it's been harder for me to get the classes I needed. And I applied for transfer actually for this coming fall. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore since I haven't had the classes I needed. And in turn, again, that's all because of the budget cuts. If you guys can please help us out. I'm talking to you legislators. We need your help. There's a lot of students like me, another student in my class, same issue. You know, we're in question. We're in limbo here, trying to figure out what we need to do to get the classes that we need and to transfer successfully, get our life on the road. So please help us out, please. Thank you.